I had a lot of post-traumatic stress after Haiti and after Katrina as well.
Did you get help? Did you see a therapist?
I always knew that I wasn't completely losing it when our boss, the head of CNN Worldwide, a guy named Jim Walton, so my boss's boss, would send out an email. Did it in Katrina, did it in the tsunami, did it in Haiti. You know, we admire the work you're doing to everybody. To the teams that are in Haiti, we admire the work you're doing, we appreciate it. I want you to know if you're having any problem sleeping, if you're feeling like you need to talk to anybody, CNN supports you, and if you need to call me, you should feel free. And I remember thinking, I know not to call him, so I must be doing okay. Because my gut tells me, do not pick up the phone and call my boss's boss and tell him, you know, I can't sleep at night. So I felt like, all right, I must still be on the rails if I know, like, not to call Jim Walton and fill him in on how I'm feeling. So yeah, I definitely got help. I got help after all the disasters. And what's very helpful, even more so, I think, than talking to someone, is writing about it. Is delivering speeches about it, is answering questions about it, is processing, you know, what happened.
Well, I wrote 2 books about vets, and the second book I wrote, you know, I spent time at Walter Reed with a lot of amputees, and I found myself crying and just really depressed over it. But it was at the time when in newspapers, there were a lot of my friends were getting laid off, and they were cutbacks and furloughs. So I felt like I couldn't like call them up and say, oh, you know, like I write this book, I got this like really good book deal, but I'm crazy now. Can you help me? Mm-hmm. So I like kept all of it inside, and I found like I was just like jacking up my life. Like I was like doing things that were just like so not out of character, and I didn't even realize like what was wrong with me. But then I became a dart fellow and cured.
People would cut me off in traffic, and I would burst into tears.
Yeah.
Be like, life isn't worth living. And I'd be like, is everything all right? You know, because every reaction was just an overreaction. I remember in the tsunami, you know, they had all the bodies that they were collecting were held at the Watts, the temples. And so they would show you, this is a person, and they pull out a big tray. Mm-hmm. Because they were always trying to identify, match up the people who had washed ashore or had been crushed, put them on a tray, and you know the family members would come in and try to identify them. And one day they pulled out a tray, and because the trays were so big and children were so little, they had 3 children on a tray. And I remember just thinking like, and I couldn't get the vision out of my head. I just couldn't, it was so awful. And I called my husband, I was into Thailand, and we were 12 hours ahead. And so it would be 10 p.m. for me, but 10 o'clock in the morning for him. And I would walk him through my day. Today, there are these bodies, and I saw these children, and I had left him, you know, I had just had my twins. They were 4 months old. So he was, you know, in charge of all 4 kids when I went off to Thailand. And at one point, he's just like, I can't take it. I can't have you just, you know, all of your stress onto me as I'm starting my morning. He just, you know, men couldn't take it. But I would call my girlfriends, and I would, you know, and some would tell me jokes until I could sleep, and some would listen intently and try to help, and, you know, that was sort of the process, you know, then of sort of saying, you know, God, I saw something today that like my mind, I can't get my mind around. I remember I would lie down and cry, and I'd sit up and be like, okay, I think I'm all right. And I'd lie down and bawl, and I'd sit up again and just try to get it together because I knew I needed to get some sleep because we'd start again running the next day. I couldn't not sleep. So I had to sort of have people, you know, kind of, again, you just have to process all of that. And that's really, I think, the most helpful thing.
Yeah, well, my book became a play, and that was really great, and it, you know, went to Edinburgh and went off Broadway, but there was like something really bad about that was that I became addicted to the play, and I would go to see it all the time, and each time I saw it, I was reliving the interviews over and over and over again. So what I did was I just found a friend who had more drama than me, and I would just listen to her drama.
Yes, yes, that's always
that was really helpful.
Yeah,
that in therapy.